Hi, good morning, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope all of you would be absolutely fit and fine, safe and healthy. Okay, so welcome back to my channel. And today we are going to talk about Amazon ECS. Okay, so Amazon ECS is another AWS service, okay, which is used to deploy our container-based services. Okay, container-based applications. If we might have developed in our local. If you might have developed with the Docker and container. Okay, so all those kind of applications which we have developed in container mode. Okay, so those kind of applications we can deploy with Amazon ECS. Okay, so what is the benefit of Amazon ECS itself? Because even in the standalone Linux machine also we can deploy that kind of containerized application itself. Okay, but what is the difference with ECS? Okay, because ECS is a completely managed service. Okay, it creates a complete cluster. Okay, where we can deploy or containerize applications. Okay, and it manages the entire infrastructure in the background. Okay, and it is a scalable. Okay, we can make the applications highly available. Okay, so all the standard features of AWS services which AWS provides with all of its services like availability, scalability, security, uh, all kind of standard features what comes with AWS service in the managed services itself. All those are provided with the Amazon ECS also. Okay, so it's a ECS is completely a container orchestration service. Okay, so we can deploy the containerized application with Amazon ECS. Okay, and ECS is further responsible for managing all the resources in order to run our container-based applications itself in the background. Okay, and it is serverless. Okay, because if we are going to deploy any container-based application in any standalone EC2 machine based on Linux operating system, okay, in that case, all the administration and provisioning we have to do at ourselves, right? Like if we need to scale the resources, okay, if we need to make the replica of the containers, okay, so all those administrations and all those uh, in infrastructure need of the application, like high availability, auto scaling, and all those constraints we need to define at ourselves in the manually. Okay, but it is not the case with Amazon ECS. Amazon ECS is completely responsible to manage all the administrative activities. Okay, like provisioning the backend compute resource. Okay, provisioning the number of containers. Okay, number of replicas of the container itself in order to make the application highly available. Okay, and it also manages the security of the applications itself, which is we are going to deploy within the container. Okay, so all those management activities and administrative steps, Amazon ECS is going to handle on itself. Okay, we don't have to worry about that. So that was a small intro about Amazon ECS. Okay, and it is serverless. Like we will deploy our application in the container to ECS. Okay, and furthermore, in the background, it ECS automatically provisions the resources what is required for the container for a containerized application to in order to run. Okay, so and we don't need the explicit access. Okay, for the resources which is being configured in the background, like if it is provisioning the EC2 instance in the background in order to run our container. Okay, so it all those resource provisioning will be happened on demand itself as per the requirement of the container based applications what we are going to deploy on Amazon ECS. Okay, we would not have any manual access or any RDP or SSH connection to the resources, to the infrastructure which is being configured within the ECS. So it all being managed by ECS itself. So that is in that case, in that manner, it is serverless service. Okay, so let us move ahead. That was the brief intro about Amazon ECS. Okay, so Amazon ECS launch containers at a scales. Okay, as per our application, like the containerized applications, what we are going to deploy, okay, ECS automatically launches the containers, okay, and manages the scalability of the containers itself without worrying about the underlying infrastructure. As we discussed, like whatever is needed in order to run our container in the background, whether it is the compute service, okay, whether it is we are going to opt for EC2. There are two instances basically to run our ECS based containers. It may run on EC2 machine itself, whether it is Linux or Windows, or it may run on Fargate. Fargate is another AWS service. Okay, that is also comes under the compute service itself. Okay, that is also used to run the applications. So there are two kind of launch type: EC2 instance and the Fargate. Okay, so it can scale the EC2. It can launch the EC2 instances or the Fargate instances at 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 the scale as per the demand and the requirement of the application itself, which we are going to deploy with ECS. Reduce cost with pay-as-you-go pricing. Reduce cost with automatic scaling and pay-as-you-go pricing across multiple AWS compute options. Okay. Yeah. So pay-as-you-go pricing, I mentioned that it is serverless. Okay. So depending upon the consumption of the resource or the applications which we are going to deploy, and whatever resources are being consumed, okay, so it manages the provisioning and deprovisioning, scaling and auto scaling of the resources, underlying resources that is required to run our container applications. Okay, so in that terms, when there is no need, the resources are not being consumed, and when it is needed, okay, the application or the container-based applications running in the environment and the resources being consumed, for that duration only, it will be chargeable. Okay. So in that case, it manages the cost also by monitoring the all the provisioning and scaling of the underlying resources itself. Okay, that is the second point. And increase speed and agility, deploy faster and focus on application by using Amazon ECS with Fargate, AWS Fargate serverless compute for containers. Okay, so we can the deployment is also easier. The method of the deployment is also easier with Amazon ECS, and we can quickly move our applications to containers, okay, with the Amazon ECS itself. Optimize for security and compliance, as all other AWS services provides the security and compliance feature. Okay, so ECS also have multiple options for making the applications and architecture very much secure. Okay, whether we are going to deploy our application on ECS cluster, whether it is based on the EC2 instance or Fargate. Okay, there are sufficient security features and compliance in order to make the application highly secure. Okay, and it is meeting all the regulatory standards. Okay, and all the security standard as per the any enterprise applications. So all that we will be going to use itself. So what is the difference between EC2 instance and the Fargate? Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, EC2, and Amazon Fargate both are cloud services for managing containers. Okay, so we can deploy our container-based applications in both of these compute services, like EC2 instance, kind of virtual machine, whether it is Linux, okay, or Amazon Fargate also. Okay, so Amazon Fargate also is the serverless compute resource. Okay, and where EC2 is a complete physical machine and actually virtual machine. Sorry, virtual machine. Okay, that is running around the clock, 24/7. Okay, and in both of these compute resources, we can deploy our container-based applications with Amazon ECS itself. So when we are going to launch the clusters, EC2 ECS clusters, okay, we have the option to select the launch type. Okay, so what will be the underlying resources? Whether we are willing to opt for EC2 instances to be launched in the background, or willing to host our container-based application on Amazon Fargate itself. Okay, so we have both the options. But where we should use EC2 instance or the Fargate that depend upon the nature of the application and the requirement itself. Okay. So we will understand the use cases. The best choice depends on your needs, such as the type of workload, desired level of control, and ease of use. Okay. So let us understand these factors which drives us this selection. Like we should go with EC2 instance or the Fargate. Okay, so these are the use cases like EC2 instance, ideal for high utilization workload, complex microservices and applications that need manual control. Okay, so the nature of application like which we are going to deploy. Okay, and if you think that we need the access to the underlying infrastructure which is being configured to run our container-based application. Okay, like if we are selecting EC2 instance, okay, and Linux EC2 instances are being launched in the background, and we need some manual intervention, and we need some SSH to connect to those infrastructure itself. In that case, EC2 is the ideal option for that, right? Fargate great for batch processing, test environment, and machine learning tasks. Okay, for those kind of nature of tasks which don't require the much manual intervention. Okay, like scheduling any batch processing, any background job, payroll processing, monthly payroll processing, yearly and generating yearly analysis report, okay, and machine learning workload itself. Those kinds of background schedule tasks we can go for the Fargate where no user manual intervention are needed. Okay, so these are the nature of the requirement where we can select better like which we should select the EC2 launch type or the Fargate launch type itself. Okay, use cases ideal for high utilization workload. Okay, so I think this has been duplicated here. Let us skip this point. So this point we got right. If we need any manual intervention, manual access to the underlying resources, in that case we should select the launch type like EC2. And if we don't need any uh, manual access or the SSH access to the underlying resources, in that case we can go for the Fargate itself. Like the nature of jobs, like in the that is more in the background. Okay, that and the Fargate is the best option for that itself. Okay. Pricing that we know, like if we are going to launch EC2 instance, that depends upon the cost will depend upon the utilization and the how long the EC2 instance which is being provisioned are being used. Okay, basis that the AWS is going to charge us, and Fargate charges based on the resource consumption and scales automatically. Okay, so Fargate it is on demand, like depending upon the scalability. Okay, how much what scale that it is using the resources. On that basis, the charges will be there for the Fargate itself, right? But in case of EC2 instance, the if it is launching with EC2 instance will be running around the clock. Okay, whether we are using the application or not. Okay, so for whole period the EC2 instance is running, the charges is going to be occur for the entire period itself. Okay, so that is the about the pricing itself. Control, like provides granular control over infrastructure, including custom instances and advanced configurations. Okay, so if we are launching our container with EC2 launch type, okay, so then we can have the granular control on the underlying resources. We can have the SS, we can SSH to the instances itself. If it is in Windows instances, we can RDP, remote desktop to the instances itself. And we have the complete control on that. Okay. But in case of Fargate, we don't have much control in the underlying resources itself. But ECS automatically manages all the provisioning, the scaling, de-scaling of the resources and the compute capacity in the background itself. Okay, so we don't have much control in case of Fargate. As we discussed previously, like for that kind of jobs, like which is fully background in the nature, okay, like long running payroll processing tasks, machine learning workload, okay, generating some analytical reports, yearly and monthly analysis reports, okay. So all those kind of jobs we can go with the Fargate where we don't need much intervention itself, and everything is controlled from the console itself, ECS console itself. Okay, so in that case, the option is the Fargate. Okay, and we would not need much control in the underlying resources. But in case of EC2, we have complete control and complete access. Deployment, Fargate handles underlying infrastructure provisioning and orchestration, allowing for quicker deployments. Okay, so in case of Fargate, the deployment and orchestrations are quite easy for the containerized applications. And EC2 requires more manual setup and ongoing monitoring. Okay, as we discussed, like in case of EC2, we need to do the administration and manual activities if we go with the EC2 launch type for ECS. Okay, so that was about pricing, control, and the deployment process. This is the architecture of Amazon ECS. Okay, so let us understand. This is AWS cloud, and within a region, any region, as per the requirement, as per the uh, nature of depending upon the basis where in which region we need, in geographical region we want to host our applications or the container applications itself. There's a VPC, the virtual private cloud. Within that, there's a subnet, public subnet, and Amazon ECS is there within the subnet itself. Okay, and ECS creates a cluster of the containers where we define the task definitions are there, and within the task definitions we create containers. Okay, and within the containers, when the containers are being created within the cluster ECS clusters, it is going to launch the underlying resources, like whether it is Amazon ECS2, EC2 instances itself, or the Fargate instances. Okay, so all the underlying compute resources, whether it is Fargate or EC2, are being launched. Okay, by the container, and containers are being provisioned by our task definitions. Okay, and task definitions are the part of the cluster, ECS clusters. Okay, so multiple containers we can launch within a cluster. Okay, and we can define the different kind of task definitions also, and each task definitions will have a separate container. Okay, and when the container is up and running, it will automatically launch the underlying resource, like whether it is EC2 instance or the Fargate instance itself. Okay, and all the scaling, the scaling and the provisioning will be of EC2 instance or the Fargate will be happen in the background by the ECS itself. Okay, so this is the placement of containers within the ECS cluster. Okay, and where the underlying resources resides within the subnet itself. Okay, and our applications further will be in the same architecture itself. The applications which are running within the container are running within the ECS cluster. Okay, and from ECS, it is further connected to the outside world through the internet gateway. Okay, and the routing service, whether it is we are using the Amazon DNS service Route 53 or some other services itself. Okay, so that is the infrastructure architecture of the ECS. Okay, so that was the theory and conceptual part about the ECS Elastic Container Services. Okay, in coming video, we will see the practical demonstration. We will create a ECS cluster, then we will create the task definition, we'll create the containers itself, and we will deploy a sample application, okay, on the ECS container. And we see the entire stuffs on the AWS console itself, okay. So with this, I would like to conclude this video today. Okay, in the next video, we will go for the practical demonstration for the ECS itself. I hope you like the video. Okay, if you find the video informative, I would request guys, please like the channel and subscribe to my channel. So you will be automatically notified for all the upcoming videos from this channel itself. Okay, and it is also motivating us, encouraging us to create more such interesting videos for the community and for my developer friends itself. Thank you very much for now. Thanks a lot. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay connected.